Hello, everyone, to episode 110 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. And just for the pre-show people, I've been using like the same pen for like the last, I believe, every episode, and I have lost that pen. So I have no idea where it's at. I've looked around my entire desk. Don't know where it's gone.
You have like an actual ink pen that you use to do a digital recording?
I've used this like a single ink pen the entire time, like to take notes every now and then. And
what are you taking?
For like Gambling Corner?
Yeah, Gambling
stuff.
Corner. Just like write down lists whenever we rank stuff. Write out exotics or something like that. We're trying to rank, like get them in order, raids in order. Yeah.
We're notes people, Ryan. It happens.
I had to shave all my facial hair off today to be respiratory fit tested at work.
Yeah.
So I look like a really fat child.
You look extra handsome today, Ryan.
I was gonna say extra chinny is how I feel. So
no, it's just one big chin, okay? Like the crimson chin.
I gotta be careful how I like position my face, or it gets real bad. Like the side shot's not looking great at the moment. So
NFL draft's going on. I didn't come up with the draft for us to do, but if we wanted to throw one together at the end of the podcast, we probably could. But
I'm sure I can think of one. I still think the best draft we ever did was the loadout draft that we did that year.
Yeah.
That one episode, rather.
We could probably do that again coming up soon.
I know, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do it quick before May 12th. I'll be very
What's
busy.
May 12th?
That's Tears of the Kingdom comes out, so I'm gonna be playing only that until the next season after that.
The what?
Have fun,
the next season comes out like 10 days after that, so I don't have a lot of time. I gotta like get all that gaming in.
Talking about that dumbass Zelda game.
How do you know? Nobody's played it yet.
Let's be honest. Everyone since A Link to the Past has, so A Link to the Past was good. Ocarina of Time, pretty good. The rest of them have been pretty crappy, right?
Says the king of unpopular opinions. The thing that makes him the happiest is having the unpopular opinion.
If I was going to have the unpopular opinion, I would say that Majora's Mask was actually the best one.
No, you would be saying Majora's Mask was actually the worst one, because a lot of people think Majora's Mask is the best. A lot of people. It makes a lot of upgrades on Ocarina of Time. And it's just a better overall game with a better story. I'm not going to say here nor there about either of them.
I never got into the Nintendo titles besides Pokemon, and that was only like a 2-year run.
That has saved you a lot of money.
Yeah, because if they came out with the N64 games again, they'd still cost $70 today.
Heck yeah.
God forbid they put a game on sale.
Why would they? People buy it anyway.
Chad, did you get
because
that?
Nintendo fans are dumb.
I think it's for $100 where you get any 2 games that they put out for the year.
The the 2 digital tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
I did not. I don't know if it's still going.
I'm pretty sure it is because I looked at it the other day.
Okay.
My son was wanting Luigi's Mansion 3. And then I saw how much Luigi's Mansion 3 cost, and I was like, I'm not buying you that, son. Can't even read.
You learn to read first.
When you read, it'll still cost the same amount of money. I'm sure.
That's perfect. That's perfect. You can see, okay, you see these numbers right here? Okay, once you can read those numbers, however long it takes, figure it out.
We're still working on tomorrow, and like whenever he wakes up, it's not really tomorrow. He's like, but it's already tomorrow.
No, it's today.
Not exactly.
Yeah, you can live in the past like Uncle Rico. That's what you can do.
That's a hard concept for him to understand right now.
As long as you don't give him the date, a particular date, you just keep saying tomorrow. You're golden. Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, he said we'll do it tomorrow.
Kids are dumb. All right, everybody have squiggles.
Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I see Jared's squiggles. He's squiggling.
Little baby squiggles.
Hey, still counts, okay?
Not the size of the squiggles.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to push the button. Jared, you ready to do whatever you do?
Yeah.
Eyes up, Guardians. We are live for episode 110 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. Excuse me, the Gilded Conqueror's Corner podcast. Today is April the 27th, and I, the Destiny bad boy, NotRyanFox, have returned with my fire team, who all of you CCBs know by now. Jared?
This Paragon over here is just sitting here on my leader's throne thinking that why did we even put up with Fox? But, he's entertaining, I guess.
And the chronicler himself, chadocero.
This Paragon is also wondering, but, he is good company. So we can bring ourselves down a level a little bit.
Forever 6. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget you can take us on the road via Spotify, iTunes, and other podcast services. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe again. Click the bell, turn on notifications, yada, yada, yada. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send a spongy friend request. Sam brought us the TWAB this week, but before we get into that, let's listen to our intro music from everybody's favorite Link, who you can find on Twitter at LinkOfTimeG.
All right, everyone. Episode 110. This week in Destiny is getting a lot of looking forward to ahead of Guardian games. That's going to be starting on Tuesday. So this is going to be the fourth time coming around for Guardian games, and each class have won once, almost it seems like by design, to spread out the winnings by Bungie. If you've been up to date with the other seasonal, like the Dawning, what's the one during Halloween? There's another one there, where you
Festival of the Lost.
That's the one.
Yeah, Festival of the Lost. Yeah, that's it. There's gonna be another title for you to earn, and if you earn that, you earn was it Chad, the champ title?
Reveler.
The Reveler. That's right. Where you've done all the events for the entire year. So just let you know, we see people running around with that title. You mean these people just give up on their social lives and haven't really cared about anything else, especially not touching grass. You'll probably see a few of those running around pretty soon in the tower. Now, Guardian Games.
They also spend all the money for the cards too, right?
No, you can get the titles without spending money on the cards.
No. Yeah.
Thought you had to. My bad.
Playing the Guardian games, you got to get bronze, silver, gold, or platinum medallions and get those, and then go deposit them in the tower and make your subclass flag fly higher than the others. So that's how that's going to work. But as you turn those in, you're going to be getting some rewards, and they usually between enhancement cores, enhancement prisms, and also 2 weapons to choose from. The Tidal Returns, which is a aggressive SMG, and they're also getting a new one called Terra Expose. I don't know. I'm
Taraxipos.
Taraxipos. Okay. All right. It's a 200 RPM Scout. So it's a lightweight frame, so that'd be kind of good to go after. We'll see what kind of action it has in the environment.
I'd say those last 3 letters are probably appropriate for how that gun will turn out, if I had to guess.
Yes. That's probably the truth there. With the Guardian Games comes a new Crucible playlist, and it's going to be a Supremacy makes its return. Basically like Kill Confirmed in Call of Duty. And then what was it in Halo? Didn't Halo have a game type where like something dropped on the kill and then you had to go pick it up? Is it Kill No, wow. I thought Halo had one.
I think it was in like the later Halos. It definitely wasn't in the earlier Halos.
I think it was in Reach. I know which one you're talking about. I just can't remember the name. You drop like a medal and you pick it up.
Yeah. But this time you're going to be on a team of the same subclass. So, I mean, 6 stacks of Hunters, 6 stacks of Warlocks, and 6 stacks of Titans going at each other. If you're a long-time listener, you know last year, this podcast, we said the exact same thing as what we needed in Guardian Games, and here we are. So I think Bungie might be finally listening to us.
Woo!
I think they've been listening a lot longer. I see the numbers. There's dozens of you that listen, so it's much appreciated.
Multiple dozens?
Dozens with an S. Even Baker's dozens. So
I'll take it.
We out here.
So how do you think this is going to play out? How annoying you think this playlist is going to be?
I probably won't go into it, if I'm being honest.
I will try it a couple times.
I'm still afraid of getting best dressed, so gotta be careful.
Why? You don't have to worry about that. For multiple reasons.
I forget what we actually made that out to be, Fox. The first one to get it, or the last one standing?
No, it's the last. It's last man standing.
Last one standing. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, we'll cover that in Gambling Corner. Me personally, I do see myself playing this. I definitely want to give it a try and see how annoying it is to go up. I was hoping they would go 4v4v4 in this, but they probably couldn't get enough Warlocks to play PvP to have the
medium team battle, baby.
To have populated.
Yeah. I think that would have been super cool, 4v4v4.
Man.
And it's maybe if Bungie supported PvP a little more people would play the Crucible. But in all seriousness, like not playing like a character, I do really like Supremacy. It was one of my favorite. That and Kill Confirmed, like in the Call of Duty stuff. Always did like those game modes. So I will probably dabble in there some, but it's not gonna be like something that I hit right at reset. Super excited to do.
So has 100 main here. I think the Titans are going to be the most annoying to go against.
What's that based upon?
The amount of solar charging that they can do, and bubbles, void overshields still going on. Yeah, I think Titans.
Yeah, that's good. Give me loadout ideas, thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do y'all think? Do you think you two just going to pick Hunters just because there's so many of them? There's only going to be max of 6, so.
I'll probably run Warlock just because I'm kind of just... I just always... Unless I'm like running a raid or doing something like that, then I usually just stick to Warlock. That way I don't have to think real hard about anything. I do kind of like the Strand Titan class. Is kind of fun, but I
Heck
really
yeah.
don't really appreciate it. I really don't really enjoy
sorry.
playing any of the hunter subclasses.
I am going to be running almost exclusively hunter unless we're raiding until I get some stuff done. Not because I want to, but because I need to get some things done on my hunter. So I'll probably be in Guardian Games doing that, and then I'll just switch over to my Titan to bank stuff, and then switch back to my hunter to play again. Because you can bank on any of your characters. All the medals and stuffs are per account, and then you can bank whichever character you want. But it'll be. They didn't say much about it because I remember they've slowly been changing it little by little over the last couple years. So I'm wondering if they're gonna make any changes, or if they have already made changes and just haven't said anything. But we'll find out. We'll find out on Tuesday.
Yep. All right. After Guardians games and the TWAB, we're going to be talking about the next Trials map. On May 2nd, you'll be getting an email that you can vote. You can vote for Rusted Lands, Convergence, or Disjunction. So, yeah. Not three of the better ones.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm voting Disjunction all day.
I'm really bad with map names in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at the pictures, right, in the TWAB, and I was like, I'm definitely not picking that one. Oh, I'm definitely not picking that one. And then I got to the third one, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to pick that one either. So, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I think I'm with Chad. Just pick the absolute worst one, which is Disjunction, just to torture the Trials players just even more.
Yeah, it's not they're just horrible. Like the only place I could see Disjunction being good in, besides like if you want to play a really long game of Rift, is 4v4v4. That'd be awesome. Just 3 teams of 4 on Disjunction because it's a long map. It's a big map. It's a little bit wide but a little bit long. So it'd be like you'd get some really weird engagements on a 4v4v4 multi teams. So I think that'd be fun. But other than that, like Disjunction really is too big to need to exist in this game in particular. For Trials too, what is it, 3v3? Like,
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You're never going to see each other.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of yellow bellies out on the outer edges with scout rifles trying to pick people off. All right. Next up is some Strand updates coming next season. Yeah, season 21. So Grapple, they're going to reduce the cooldown from 105 seconds to 82 seconds. And they reduce a minimum time between Grapple activations from 2.5 seconds to 0.2 seconds. So overall, that's a solid change for that grenade. I don't think this grenade is annoying in PvP at all, and I think we just wanted more uptime in PvE. So I think that's what that's going to be. Next is the Strand Hunter and Threaded Spike, and that is increase the damage versus PvE combatants by 55%. This is the Hunter melee that they throw out. And then increase the projectile travel range before it returns to the player by 30%. Slightly reduce the speed at which the dart returns to the player so it's easier to catch. They also increase the energy gain from catching the dart based on the number of enemies hit. And it now can pierce Cabal Phalanx shields. That's a very good positive. There's so many of those going on in Neonuma, probably trying to figuring out Strand, and the melee just whiffs and doesn't go through the shield. I wish they would just straight up made this melee anti-barrier, but maybe it ended up being that way because of the way that's got coded. I don't know. We can always hope, right?
Yeah.
There is a artist reference collection in the TWAB if you want to look at that. And then also Witherhoard won the vote last week for Exotic to get the next ornament, and it got 45% of the vote. If you're in Georgia, they'll be doing a revote, but Thunderlord got 36%, and then Izanagi's Burden got 19%. So
Well, election rigged, in my opinion.
mm-hmm.
So we need to storm the headquarters.
All right. That's basically it for the TWAB, in my opinion. Yeah.
What would you rate this TWAB on a 1 to 10?
The fact that we got a Guardian Games article on Wednesday before the TWAB, that the TWAB didn't need to cover any of it, that means it's like a 6.1.
Okay.
And the
I get a
Strand,
5.7.
the Strand updates is the only thing that saved it from being lower.
Listen, any TWAB that has more community content than content from Bungie employees is not a TWAB for me. So I'm going to give this one a...
Well, it's quite the raspberry.
Yep. All right, so let's go move us on to our 3 likes and 3 dislikes this week in Destiny 2. This week we did some Grandmasters, we did some rating, some Master, Root of Nightmares rating. But for me, my like is going to be completed Paragon and Conqueror Gilded 8. Technically, we should be Gilded 10 at this point, if you're keeping along from our before they started the gilding. So, yeah, that's my like. It's I like getting those done. I like showing those off, saying that I don't like to touch grass.
Yeah, we've got the Conqueror still every season that's been available. I think the first time it was season 10 was available. So this week I got a lot of things done in Destiny. I'm one lore piece away from being what's it called, a dream maker or something.
Dream Warrior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maker,
So
that's a song, right?
like
That's
a make a wish thing, right?
Oh.
So that should be fun to get that. We did get a few Sherpa raids in. I have been hitting the LFGs pretty hard. I will discuss that in my dislike, however.
Okay. Yeah. My like is having reasons to play Hunter again, regardless of what the reasons are. For me, it's literally just doing the 8-1 bounties for the transmog. Like I just don't play on my Hunter anymore because I'm either on my Titan or I'm doing a Warlock, and those are the two things that I have. The only time I'm on my Hunter is to run the 3rd raid of the week for the boys, and that's it. So even if it's something dumb, I'm glad to do it. I have Banana this week, so I'm going to be running that and just getting my Hunter on again. Trying to make Hunters great again in my eyes. For me personally, my Hunter gameplay is not good. And as far as my dislike, it is the banana grind. I don't know what it is. I think I'm allergic to wins. And my subconscious knows that, and so it does everything it can that if it feels there's a win in the future, it just, my fingers swell up. I start sweating into my eyes, start coughing a little bit, get a little swelling in my throat, just can't breathe right. It's weird. I don't know. But
Now,
3 Iron Baron is in, and I'm at 58% wins, and I'm like, holy moly, this is not going to be,
this
be a
week,
good week.
This week is the one with the Capal turrets, right? Like zone capture or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this is where Titan's bubble is super meta, and Warlocks are. Yep.
Yep.
And you're playing Hunter.
Yep. I'm just gonna be tethering. Just tethering. As soon as I see that spot, I'm just gonna tether right on top of it.
Okay.
Bloop.
All right, my dislike this week is I've had some pretty tough RNG on these resonance / red border weapons. So I did grind out. It took me about 3 hours of grinding the first encounter to get my 5 trustees in the Deepstone Crypt. spread that out. I think I might have done all of that on, I think I got 4 out of 5 on Tuesday, and then I'd already had one that I bought last week. So that wasn't too bad. However, the last thing I need out of there is posterity. So kind of did 2 little miniature posterity farm sessions here. And I've had a total of 16 drops so far. Out of those 16, 8 have been the class item, 4 have been the chess piece, 3 have been heritage, and I've got 1 posterity, but it did not drop as a red border. So 0 for 16 so far on that encounter. Then went to the war table. I had 51 engrams, the Seasons of Defiance engrams. Thought, oh, all I have left to get is going to be, I need 5 of the Hunter swords. I had 2 other swords, and I already had Imperial Decree. And out of those 25 possible drops, I got 1 red bordered Hunter sword. So not been a great red border week for me.
All right, my dislike is going to be the Vex Calippo mission and the lack of checkpoints, because I was kind of just like taking my time going through it, just like doing a couple chests here or there, and then I was like, oh, it's time to raid, and I left it, and I knew that I couldn't go back to where I was, even though like you can die in boss encounters and it sends you back to a checkpoint. So I think like there's kind of no reason not to have checkpoints on the regular version of the mission. I understand on the legend version that you shouldn't have checkpoints because like it should be like difficult in a one-time playthrough, but it's kind of where I'm at with it. All right, next up is weapons breakdown. This is going to be fast and dirty for the most part because I'm throwing it in there last minute, but we're going to do the Guardian Games weapons. So Traxipus, if that's the way it's whatever it is. It's going to be a strand scout rifle. So that is, I guess it's a little intriguing because of that. Column 3, it's going to be real simple for me. It's going to be outlaw because the other options are really not that great besides 4th time's the charm. I'd rather just have outlaw instead. Last column, you got explosive payload, you got focus fury, hatchling, kill clip. I think those are the ones, those 4-ish I would consider using. Overall, you can never go wrong with outlaw kill clip or outlaw explosive payload. Payload is just overall always great in this game. If you're doing a hatchling build, if you're one of those warlocks, I think the brood weavers, they can really make hatchlings do a lot of stuff. So I think that's a good one to go for. The title, Void SMG. I guarantee you probably have a Void SMG in your vault right now. This one comes out of the box recoil direction to 85, so that means you can go nothing but range and stability in that barrel. Perks wise, column 3, DSR for PvP or perpetual motion. And then you have threat detector for PvE. Column 4, you have surrounded to pair with threat detector for PvE. You also have vorpal weapon and repulsor brace, swashbuckler and focus fury. I think those can be right for the certain things, right for the correct builds. PvP in the last column, rangefinder. However, rangefinder's range is supposed to be untied from the zoom factor, should be untied from the weapon at some point in the future by Bungie. So you can look for a rangefinder replacement in that way for PvP. And with that, I don't really know what you'd be into. Maybe swashbuckler to try to get some of that going. DSR swash for PvP as one to throw in the vault to keep for a rainy day.
I think that takes us to Gambling Corner. So standings at the end of last week's episode, Jared had 4,000 glimmer. I had 12,000 glimmer. Chado had 10,000 glimmer. The way this segment works, if you're new, and if you are, thanks for listening and making it this far. we each start with 10,000 glimmer at the start of the season. We proceed to come up with stupid little bets that we make each week on the show. And sometimes they're like anti-bets, sometimes they're straight up bets. It kind of varies, just kind of how we're feeling, what's going on that week in Destiny. And with that, we keep track. If you ever go bankrupt, you have to buy back in by putting up a weapon to sacrifice for the other two. So weapon out of the vault or something. The other two determine what the value of that weapon is, and then you have to delete it in order to buy back in. It gives it a little bit of stakes, something fun. It doesn't happen real often that somebody does end up losing. So we have 2 active bets. The first active bet was I believe it was well, this says the first to get best dressed commendation. That's how it was written in here. So Jared, I guess that you and I can decide, do we want to keep it going, or do we just want to split it?
So we just split we just get 500 each, I think.
Yeah.
Or roll it over. I'm good either way, so it's up to you. I'll let you pick.
Let's split it. That way we can not have to worry about Guardian games next week. Chad was clearly the cutest. Chad was the cutest out of us, so he got the best dressed commendation.
What class was you playing on, Chad?
I was the only one playing. It doesn't matter. I was the only one playing any playlist.
I just want to know what class you was playing on when he got it.
Warlock.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Got those thick,
dummy
thick robes on.
They got me.
Those dummy thick robes on with your little cat helmet. So the other one that we had, this was the main one. So we had 3 Grandmasters that we hadn't cleared yet. We hadn't even attempted yet. And it was the least amount of total deaths among the cleared Grandmasters before the next pod. So before today. And we all threw 2,000 in for that. So we did complete 3 Grandmasters. When did we do them? Like Friday, Saturday, or did we do them all the same night? I can't remember. They are all up on the YouTube channel, which is where you're watching us now. Don't forget that we do have a YouTube channel if you're listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, or other podcast services. These are not, I just want to be very clear, these are not like edited whatsoever. We literally just go live and what happens, happens. So saying that, the first one we did was the Mars Battleground. This was our ugliest of the 6, I would say. Chad and I had a lot of deaths in this one. The room that we struggled in the most was the room where you start to open the door and you have to hold the door right after the tower room. We got it to what, like 90% and Chad and I got surprised and died. And then Jared was running Invis Hunter and kind of kept resin us and turned into a whole big thing. But eventually we got it. We did get beat at our first try ever. I had 6 deaths. Chad had 6 deaths. Jared had 3 deaths in that one. The next one we did was Lake of Shadows. We'll discuss the changes in these after this, I suppose. But in this one, I had 6 deaths. Chad had 8 deaths, and Jared had 3 deaths. And last but not least was Arms Dealer. I had 3 deaths. Chad had 5 deaths. Jared had 1 death. So Jared was definitely the winner on this one. Jared had a total of 7. I had 15. Chad had 19. I do want to speak on behalf of Chad and myself that every time Jared goes invisible, all the aggro pulls to us. So Jared's number is a little less than probably what it should be. So Chad and I, we're the team players. We're just making sure we get things completed. So
I'm not making excuses.
Jared
Jared's
won.
a good player.
Jared won this week. Jared won. So,
Go back and watch the
are these
tape. How many
totals?
times I was the only one left alive?
Well, you take
Yep.
one room out of it, and it's not that many. So, saying that, Jared, are these totals accurate that are up here at the top now?
Yes.
All right. So Chad is in third place with 8,000 glimmer. Jared is in second place with 8.5 thousand glimmer, and I am in first place with 10.5 thousand glimmer. So, tight race. It was 2 weeks ago. It was I had a very comfortable lead, but things have tightened up here as we head into the playoffs. You know what I mean? So, we did have a question about the grandmasters in the mailbag section, so we will save discussion on those for that question.
All right. So that's probably it for gambling this week then. No bets going on probably this week. Probably take a week off. And that takes us into lore.
Oh boy. Like I said last week, we're going to be getting into the lore book, The Beaten Path. It's the one you get for doing the weekly story for the season. It's about Amanda Holiday and her origins. Even though we got that nice video in the beginning of or in the season, one of those like image ones with the voiceovers. But we're gonna do 2 chapters a day, 2 chapters next week, and then figure out what to do after that. But we're gonna start off with the first chapter, The Forest. Nora and Bram had picked a dead tree trunk as their target, rotted and blooming with mushrooms. It was a clear day, and the light filtered through the canopy of pine trees. After a few deafening shots from the chaperone, the forest had become so quiet that there was nothing left to hear but their own breaths. Bram lowered the shotgun, hoping against hope that he'd hit the stump this time. He hadn't. Nora let out a snorting laugh that broke the silence like another gunshot. Bram handed the gun back to his wife and rolled his right shoulder, wincing. It got a kick, he said finally. All the best things do, Nora said, hefting the gun and aiming down its sights. When she looked back at Bram, he was shaking his head. The first time you let me touch it, you didn't even warn me it has a kick? Nora grinned. You never noticed? Well, you never flinch, he said, winking. Guess I know it too well, she said with a smile. The air was chill. He pulled his threadbare coat from his shoulders and draped it onto his wife's. She handed the chaperone back to him and slipped her arms into the coat's sleeves. It didn't quite close over her belly. None of the scavenged winter clothes did anymore. You'll get used to it too, she offered. Pity as consolation. He raised the gun. Stand sideways, hold it against your hip, she said. He propped it on his hip bone. She pushed aside. Not like that. Bram rolled his eyes, but it was with a smile. He did as she directed. He had always been a good listener. Remember when we first met? She said, stepping away. I met this gun first, he replied and fired. It had been in some dusty ruin on the road. The business end of the chaperone was the first thing he'd seen. Bram stared into the barrel before looking into the eyes of the woman holding it. When she saw he was no threat, the muzzle dropped. Nora Jericho, she said, as if she hadn't been about to shoot him. Where'd you come from? He gestured behind him. What's your name? He tried to speak, but nothing came out. He's still shocked into silence. You know it ain't safe here, right? She asked. 'Cause of you? He blurted without thinking. Grimacing, he looked wide-eyed at her for one tense moment. Then she laughed. Nora, she said again. Bram, he answered at last. He shook her hand and gave a high, breathy laugh, a laugh of relief. This time the shot hit its mark. The stump burst with the impact. Nora watched her husband smile, slow and triumphant. Then they heard another shot. Then another. A sudden burst of arc energy seared the trunk from beside them. Crackling and burning, Bram stood frozen, but Nora grabbed the gun away from him and held it steady as she surveyed the rows of straight, tall trees. A movement at the corner of her eyes. She whipped around and fired. She hit the edge of a tree, enough to startle the fallen behind it. It turned to run, tripped on a root, and hit the ground. Its shock pistol skittered out of reach. It rolled onto its back, scrambling as Nora approached with her gun. She heard no other shots, no other movement. It was alone. It was terrified. Two of its arms had been cut away at the elbow. The fallen looked up from the barrel of her shotgun and locked eyes with her. It didn't even try to reach for its pistol. Nora stood silent, her finger on the trigger for a long moment. Then she nodded her head at this permission. The fallen rose to its feet, then turned and took off into the forest. Nora waited until she could no longer hear its footsteps. Then she stopped, squatted, and picked up the gun the fallen had dropped. She handed it to her husband. "Here," she said, "more your speed." She held onto the gun tightly. She wondered briefly if the fallen had heard their practice shots and assumed they fired first. If it had attacked out of fear, she couldn't know. Her husband's arms came around her. She relaxed her grip on the gun. That night, she and Bram lay together in a shelter he made out of an old rusted truck. He cleared the cab of spiders and put down blankets for a little comfort. Nora had climbed in, smiled, and declared it good enough. In her own way, that was thanks. "Why'd you let it go?" Bram asked. Nora thought back to Fallen's terrified eyes. "The chaperone ain't for killing, for protecting." Bram put a hand on her belly. He felt how their baby shifted inside her. Nora didn't flinch. "Little Star's got a kick," Bram said with the same high, breathy laugh of relief. "All the best things do." Nora and Bram named their child Amanda. They filled her heart with stories of the last city until it was overflowing as their own. Stories of rest and relief, of laying down their weapons. Stories that made their fear sharpened by the long road and its dangers soften and disappear for a moment. Stories of safety. For now, the chaperone was their only safety. They'd come to the village just for a night's rest. It was a half-deserted settlement of rotted buildings, tents, and lean-tos. But they had livestock and a field for growing bitter vegetables. "Is this the city?" Amanda asked. "No," Nora answered. She always said it with sadness. They traded with the inhabitants, food, ammunition, warm clothing. When the fallen raided that night, Nora and Bram fended them off with beside the villagers. From a hiding spot, Amanda watched her mother fire the chaperone, watched Fallen die in a hiss of ether, watched her parents defend people they'd never met and would never meet again. She was used to the sight by now. The people were thankful and let them stay the night in an empty cowshed, even loaning them a gas lamp. It was a cold night and the family was happy for shelter and warmth. Bram portioned out the food while Nora took the chaperone out and laid it down on the straw. Amanda came to her side, curious. Nora watched as her daughter reached out for the gun and traced the curling, embossed design on the barrel with a fingertip. She did it with a reverence reserved for sacred things. Nora knew that was a good thing, and Amanda would treat the chaperone with care, not just as a weapon, but as a memory. "My mama gave it to me when I left her," Nora told her daughter. She then nodded to the curly floral designs along the gun's receiver and barrel. "But I did those." It had given her something to focus on, something to do when the day was too hot or too cold to keep moving. Carefully carving out those soft and delicate shapes, she'd thought herself beauty when the world could not. "Can I shoot it?" Amanda asked. She'd never asked before. Bram looked up with alarm at the prospect, but Nora only laughed and tousled her daughter's hair. "No," Nora said, her voice kind but firm. She saw Amanda's disappointment across her face, that exaggerated, devastating emotion that only children can feel. She wouldn't cry, but she would sulk for a few days, at least until something else caught her interest and became her world. Nora wanted to keep her attention for as long as she could. "You can help me clean it," Nora offered. "I'll show you how to take it apart and put it back together, just like your little engines." Amanda's expression told Nora that this is what she really wanted. Together they disassembled the gun, cleaned it, oiled it, reassembled it. Nora named each piece and what they did. Soon Amanda knew the shape and texture of it all, how the pieces fit together, how they functioned, how the parts worked to create a whole. Amanda took it all in with boundless curiosity that motivated her every thought and movement. "We do this every time we use it," Bram told his daughter. Nora nodded. "Every shot I fire," she continued, "I gotta clean it so it's good as new and won't jam up when we need it most. That way it can protect people for a long time." Then she tickled her daughter's sides enough to make Amanda squirm and smile. That's how Nora knew her daughter would remember this moment. Bram laughed at the sight and came to sit beside them. Amanda crawled into his lap. Nora knew she'd teach her daughter to shoot one day, but for now, she wanted to savor the time when Amanda was too young to try. We use it to keep people safe, Nora said. That's all that matters. Nora watched her husband hold their daughter. She knew one day the city would keep Amanda safe. Nora wondered if the chaperone would have any place there. She had a quiet hope that it would not. Ooh. So we now know that the wife is the one with the gun. So that's interesting, but also that Amanda happened to pass away with it too, because obviously she took it on the mission with her, and she was using it, so she wasn't able to really pass it down. She gave us a copy, I guess, but oof, that gun's seen generations.
I mean, it's probably still out there. I mean,
Crow
ran Ace of Spades into the ground, and we still repaired it, so we can probably repair it.
That's fair.
All right, that takes
Ready
us
for
to
the mailbag?
Yeah.
All right, mailbag. Question 1. Which Grandmaster did you find the most difficult? Thoughts on the changes of Arms Dealer and Lake of Shadows?
Most difficult has to be the Mars battleground. There's a lot of cheeses out there that can make it go by a lot easier. So I imagine those cheeses will probably get taken care of at some point. Probably tackle it as soon as possible if you're still putting it off. And the changes to Armsdale and Lake, I just don't like them. Like Michael Scott, nope, don't like that meme. It's just change it back, which won't happen.
Yeah, the Tormentors were a bit much in both of those, I felt. Lake of Shadows, you're fighting the one in the small room right before the boss room. The boss room's a nightmare in the Lake of Shadows. And then Arms Dealer, you're fighting the one instead of the third tank is
The tank,
is
yeah.
actually a Tormentor that comes down in the circular platform that comes down.
Yeah.
The rest, other than the Tormentor and Arm, I thought the boss room was a lot easier in Arms Dealer, but I thought the tank room of Arms Dealer was worse. So it's kind of like a net neutral. They did make more time. They did like add to it to make it longer to get to the tank room, because you have to like shoot across. You can't clear that first area as fast. And then you have to you can't sparrow cheese to the side and come up through. You kind of have to go through. You have to get the dudes out of their cages or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So saying that, every one of these we beat on our first try, except for Glassway, because we had just a bad luck death, bad luck wipe. So I can't really say any of them were too difficult. But I agree that even though Glassway is the one we died on, Mars Battleground is the most difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, I was going to say what Ryan just said. Essentially, we just happened to have a wyvern walk to the left of us, fire 2 shots, and kill all of us at the same time.
It's so dumb.
It happens, whatever. The splash damage on that is absolutely atrocious. It happens. But that Mars battleground is horrific. And we only were being saved by it because one of us was allowed to survive when the other 2 died, and then pick us up, or just end the encounter by being invisible and just running out the clock, or running up the clock, the timer, I guess.
So our time was 42 minutes and 15 seconds on that one.
Yeah,
So
it was not a good one.
It.
Changes, the Tormentor in that tiny room in Arms Dealer was unnecessary. The meatball at the beginning needs to have way less health. It's wild the amount of ammo that thing takes, and it's crazy.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, the meatball's horrific. If the meatball had a little bit less health and it didn't have a Tormentor, I'd be like, oh, it's fine. It's strikes fine. And then Arms Dealer, yeah, being forced to be in the boss room wasn't bad. But the Tormentor in that one too was It didn't feel good.
Yeah. So I think like the biggest thing with Arms Dealer for me is the threshers. Like there's no direct way to take him down except for grenade launcher or rocket launcher. Like there's no quit spot. There's no place to shoot. To just take out the gun or the missiles. Like it's so screwed up to where like you can just pump your primary in there for minutes and minutes in order to take him down. Or
you'd have to like sleeper the cannon on the front to take it out.
Yeah.
Or just blow it up.
Like if
Those are
you
your two options.
If Bungie wants to have threshers in the game, that's fine. But give us viable ways to take them down, like some kind of skill shot, some kind of weak spot to take him out. It just doesn't make sense. And then also the Lake of Shadows, the taken goop on the ground, like you could see nothing on the ground below you, and you're taking damage somehow. It's just like, where am I taking damage from? Like they need to visually make it better. Or like if you can't see it, you don't take damage from it. It's just
that one. I remember. I think you guys were trying to survive and do your thing, and my whole goal was like, I'm going to try to kill this boss by myself with my well lock, and Chad dropped his well, and I think I used it. I think I did like 60 seconds of like sustained damage and took most of his health down. Just with like grenades and primary to refill the grenades. And we killed it like right as the well went down. So one of those things that whenever like Starfire gets nerfed and things that might end up being a real pain in the behind, getting all the way to that boss and wiping a few times until we learn that boss room a little better.
All right, question 2, 1 to 10. How much are you looking forward to Guardian games? Is it rigged for Titans to win this year?
I
guess like a 4, I guess. Like below average. I'm sure I'm below whatever the community average is, I'm below it. So I'll say a 3 to a 4, probably.
I'm probably sitting at a 5 because of the Supremacy 6v6 playlist. Because I literally wanted that, so that's like the only thing I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that's good. I don't care. I'm just glad it's an event where I'm not like, go do stuff and then come do the event stuff. I don't like those events. I hate those. I can't stand those. It's like, just let me play and do stuff and then passively do things like bake cookies. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I like that one.
I just play the
Moments
game.
of triumph though, where they have the European aerial zone. Like, just shoot me in the head. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Remember the Festival of the Lost, the Infinite Forest stuff? Like going through branches. I don't want to do that. I just want to do what I'm going to do normally. You give me some extra thing and I turn the extra thing in. So that's kind of how I like my Destiny events.
Yep. So I'm at a solid 2. The only thing I'm thankful for is that it is one of those events where you can just play stuff and you can pick up bounties and be like, I'm gonna get these medals, and be like, well, this one's just putting me in a strike playlist. Okay, whatever, that's fine. Or you can delete it or no, because they're set. You just have to wait till another one comes around. But it's fine. It's not like it's like, oh, you have to do these things and then go in here with your medals and cash them in to open up a chest.
All right. Question 3. Are you going to splurge on the Guardian game ornaments? I probably will, because I have all the Warlock ornaments, like dating all the way back. The one that I have to say, if you don't have it, I know that a lot of times when these come around, they have like the previous event ornaments for sale as well. Like there is a Warlock chest, like a robe that is out of this world. That it kind of looks like it has like a cool like diamond embroidered fabric that has like the yellow, red, and blue lines that kind of crisscross together. It's one of the best chess pieces in the game that you can use as an ornament. So keep your eye out for that. That would be the only thing I would recommend.
if I'm looking at this, I think the Titan looks pretty good, except for its helmet. So I could probably swap its helmet out for something else. But I'm probably not dropping the Bright Dust or Silver to get any of them.
But the helmet looks like it's got headphones on, dog.
Unless it looks better
Oh,
from
I don't know
another
why it
angle.
looks like that.
I don't care much for the helmet.
I
So
know.
it's
I know.
what is it usually? Is it 6,000 bright dust or 8,000 bright dust?
6.
Ugh. 6 typically.
Yeah.
And it's usually what, like, is it 1,500 silver?
I thought it was like 1,000, but I thought it was $10. But they could increase the prices. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, $15 is going to be hard to spend. Just being honest with you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Question
All right.
4: should Bungie show the next season early to build hype, or should they just drop the trailer the day before the season?
I mean, this particular one, Season of the Deep, they released the name for this before Lightfall dropped, to build up a lot of, not skepticism, but make a lot of people think about it. There's obviously a couple of ideas where everyone's like, no, it has to be this. Like, there's no way it's not this. So they could leave it to the last minute, or they could just release stuff like the week of, or like the TWAB before. So give people like 4 days of like here's a video we got in the TWAB, and then like Monday morning they release another video, and then Tuesday morning they release another video while the patch is going on. Like, that'd be cool. Give us some stuff to sink our teeth into beforehand, but they already gave us a name. I don't think they're going to give us much more until we get right on it.
To me, they should do it the second week of Guardian Games, so like May 9th or May 11th. They should drop it.
Yeah, I feel like the community is not in the best of morale right now, and maybe something new to show them might help with that. It's been tough on the social media groups and the Reddits and everything. It seems like everybody's in complain mode. We're at that part of the Destiny cycle to where like something new comes out and it's awesome, and then everybody hates it, and then everybody leaves the game, and then everybody plays other games and realizes that this game is better than those other games. They release information, and then everybody gets excited and loves the new stuff, and then it just kind of goes in this giant circle. Question 5, the last question before the riddle question. Chad, I'll let you explain this for everybody, but is Dado getting kicked out of math class?
Okay. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. Yesterday, I believe Dado put out a video talking about the computer engineering side of Destiny. He talked to a couple of people in the field, some professionals, some experts in the field, and basically went through each of the community's complaints about the game currently. So like one of the complaints, like, oh, they just need to switch to a new engine, and this stuff will be fixed. This game's on spaghetti code. It's server blah 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 stuff, nonsense, things I don't really pay attention to because I see the salt and I move on and look for other stuff to read. But I know of them because it's always, switch to a new engine has always been a thing that people say. And I don't ever put myself into these situations because I'm not an expert. I don't know anything about anything. And one of the things I like to say is I don't know anything, so I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't want to sound dumb. And I'm one of those people that's curious, so I'd like someone to educate me on why things will or would not work, or hypothetically, stuff like that. And I'm very much like, I'm going to listen to the expert because this is what they do. This is their whole field, and they know what they're talking about. I don't know anything. I know. So when I started watching the video, obviously I'm just watching all the things. I'm listening to him and his explanations, and I'm like, well, this is coming from another middleman. He's explaining what he understood from the people he talked to, and I'm like, well, now I need to do my own research and listen to other people or listen to a person. And I was scrolling through Reddit, and there were lots of people that were computer engineers, and they were like, yeah, no, this switching to a new engine isn't easy. Like, you could be an expert in the field, like be an absolute professional in a video game engine, and move to another engine and have to relearn everything because they work differently. And he's like, it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have. If you don't have experience in that particular engine, you're starting from scratch. You may have more experience learning this stuff faster, but you're starting over. And it's worse moving a game over. And I'm like, well, okay. I still don't understand very much of it, so I can't explain it very well because I'm not the expert. So because he went and explained each of the reasons why all of these people were wrong in a way that Dado is very well known for, which is you're wrong, here's why kind of a thing. The math class Twitter, I don't know who's in charge of it. They were using the word we a lot, which made me think it's a one person who is blanket statementing. I'm sure Ryan will give his opinion in a bit. Saying that Dado's out of line. The community's been talking about this stuff for a reason. Dado doesn't know what's going on. He's not in touch with the community anymore, and stuff like that. And that's when I decided to nope out of the situation, because I'm like, this ain't my clan. I don't know what I'm not the expert in this clan, so I'm out. Like, okay, whatever. It's just another video for me. And then I saw that Astacross put out a video also on the engine this morning, and I'm like, oh, what did he say? So
yeah,
it's people are capitalizing on that situation and getting their views in and their clicks. So whatever. I mean, we're doing the same thing, so it's fine. Whatever.
I guess my thing, are we allowed to use the P word on this podcast?
with the
Type it in.
ussy
I
at the
don't know
end.
what P word.
No. Like pandering, that they're
Oh,
pandering.
Well, you just used it.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a little bit of pandering going on by the math class Twitter account, pandering to the audience, maybe trying to build that social media presence, perhaps. Surely to God, they don't think that they're bigger than Dado, because Dado is the only reason anybody's ever heard of math class. And if Dado leaves math class, then they are done. They're not. I just hope they're not delusional enough to think that they'll stick around that way.
Yeah, it kind of seems what Fox is saying there, or it's just like a handful of like the B or C teams. Like, hey, we should probably usurp Dado so we can rise to the ranks and be on the A team for my math class. Maybe it's that old leopard stealth back there trying to stir up some trouble. Trying to create another meme or something.
All right, Chad, any thoughts? You think it's just for the lulz?
I don't know anything about this field, so I'm gonna recuse myself at this point in time.
All right, last question is actually the riddle. I'm going to read the riddle to you guys. I know the answer to this. I'll read it to you, and then you guys can go from there. 2 fathers and 2 sons went fishing one day. They were there the entire day and only caught 3 fish. One father said, "That is enough for all of us. We will have 1 each." How can this be possible?
Oh,
So one of the
that's easy.
yeah. So like there's like a grandfather, a son, and then like another son. So
Yeah. So there was a father, a
3
son,
generations.
and a son's son. Yep.
Yeah.
That equals 2 fathers and 2 sons for a total of 3. I'm proud of you guys. That's the first one. That's the first one you guys have got, right?
No, we got. I got
them all so far.
the cards.
No,
last-
you have
last
not.
week.
We have.
I didn't get
the
the first one.
Oh, the first one.
Jared
It was him.
No.
It was him looking
That
at his
man's
picture of
father
himself.
is my father's son.
Yeah, he was looking at a
But
picture
now-
of
I didn't get
himself.
that one. Yeah,
I got that.
Jared got it.
Now
I
that you
didn't.
know the
That's why you're
answer,
thinking
now
that.
that you know the
No,
answer, you
I
got
had
it.
that one.
But
Get out
I
of
said
here.
that
He had
one.
that
I don't
one. He
think
had
so.
it.
I don't think so.
Go back. And
All
listen.
right. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Destiny CC Pod. I think Jared's telling lies. Don't forget, you can listen to past episodes on Spotify, iTunes, other podcast services. You can watch us on YouTube. I'm gonna let these other two guys sign off.
With Guardian Games coming up, make sure you represent your class and bank the medallions. We know that it's been in a cycle to where some class was destined to win. We determined at basically the start the way Destiny decided to do the math. But every class has officially won one now. So maybe this one is actually going to be competitive and the right one will win. Unless it's Titans or Warlocks, why we'll call that they was rigged.
I don't care. But I'll enjoy what happens on the Reddit after the first 5 days of the competition, and it's one class. I hope that happens. I hope it's not like one class and then the next class wins and the next. No, I hope it's a single class wins the first 5 days. I will absolutely enjoy myself.
As always, go Cats. Love you guys.